Okay, we're going to make some bread. This is going to be a Tartine Country Basic. The only thing I'm doing different is I've added 100 grams of some fermented fruit juice. And now we're going to put in the other 600 grams that we need here. Oops, that was too much. Okay, boing. Okay, that's 600 plus the 100 is 700. Now it's winter and I got this out of the water gasket on my refrigerator. So it's filtered, but it's cold, so I'm going to pop this in the microwave for a minute. And that should bring it up to 80 degrees. Or somewhere around there. Here I have a digital thermometer. That ought to help. Just wipe off this water to be nice. Okay. This is what our starter looks like. Now the starter, Tartine calls for a tablespoon of starter and 200 grams of water and 200 grams of flour overnight. This is a half a tablespoon, which is like 7 grams, and 100 grams of water and 100 grams of flour because I don't care. So in just a few seconds, I'll bring this water over here. 3, 2, 1. You heard it. And just for fun, we're going to take the temperature, though I'm not all that worried. Okay, stir it up because it doesn't heat evenly, of course. And this says, you can't read it, but it says 81.6, 82.2, 82.5, 82, 82.2. So yeah, so it's about 82 degrees, so I'll take that into some consideration. And now, there's this thing. People talk about the float test. Honestly, I never do the test, and you really don't. You need to, however, since clearly this is going to float, because how could it not, because it's mostly air, well, CO2. And since this is, I only had 207 grams of stuff here, you can see how that's floating, then pretty much everything that's in here is going to have to come out. And what's the worst that could happen? I've been married a long time, and we're actually united by the what's the worst that can happen. My wife thinks that the worst is about to happen at any moment, and I think everything will be okay. So let's go with the okay, so you can see, well, you can't see, but we're at like 190, and this thing's empty. It's almost as if some of it disappeared overnight. And so what can you do? So I'm just going to take all this, and we're going to stir it a little bit, because why not? And I think that's what Chad does. I'll put this over here for a second. Put this big bowl on here, zero it out, and then we have some flour. And we'll put 900 of this in. Could use a bigger cup, but that's like 100 grams, and that's like another 100 grams, and that's like another 100 grams, and that's like another 100 grams. Are you keeping count? And another 100, and another 100, and another 100, and of course there's some extras in here. So right now we're up to 865, and 895, 900 even. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of flatten out a space here in the middle so that if I overdo it on whole wheat, I can take care of it. This is organic organic, unbleached AP flour from Central Milling, which I got at Costco, and I'm using it because I got it at Costco. So it's like 70 cents a pound. So 2 10-pound bags for $13.98. Okay, and we'll see about putting 100 of whole wheat flour here. And that's 90. And that's 114. That's 109. 7. 101. That's 100. Okay, so now we've got flour. And just because I like an even distribution, I'm actually going to combine these two flours. So far, the only two important tools we have is a scale and a video camera. This is actually a flip by Cisco, which is something they used to have and discontinued years ago, but it ought to do the trick. Okay, so we don't need the scale for this. I'm just going to take this and pour it in here and encourage all the leftovers to go in there too. And put this in the sink. And we're just going to stir this. It's pretty exciting. Until all of the flour is basically incorporated. And then we're going to auto-lace for about a half an hour. We won't let you watch that because you'd be bored. Flour, of course, likes to hide on the bottom. And lots of people like to do this with their hands, and I might end up doing that, but you get the general idea. This is like your first work, which, as you can see, is not too hard. We're just measuring out some flour, measuring out some water, and some starter. You saw how happy that starter looked. Just get this scraped off here. Oh, can you still see this? I actually can't see what's going on with this. And we'll just scrape all this down. There's other tools for you old people. This was actually a Galloping Gourmet Spurtle. So anybody that remembers the Galloping Gourmet who had to quit his work because of acute alcoholism, but he was fun to watch while it was happening. There's some still hiding under there. Okay, enough, Mr. Nice Guy. This is taking too long. How much patience can you guys have? Just flour mixed in. I basically end up with a shaggy mess. I just have to clean it off my hands. And the auto-lace will help incorporate the flour as it absorbs the moisture. Also give it a little more extensibility, which is the opposite of elasticity, meaning that it'll stretch further. And there we have it, and then we're just going to take this and cover it with a piece of plastic wrap. Since it's winter and it's kind of cool here, I'm actually going to get out my Broad & Taylor proofing box, and I'll put it in that. But in the meantime, that takes care of that. After the auto-lace, we're going to have to add salt and water. So we'll just zero out this. We're going to want 50 grams of water. There's 48. 51. Yeah, I don't don't care. 51 and a half. Okay, let's loosen that up a little bit. Okay, still 51. There we are, it's 50. And we're going to need 20 grams of salt. We're going to use sea salt because it costs more than regular salt. Of course, I bought it at Costco. If I'd started earlier, if it's had it together, I could have met my wife at Costco. Instead, I met her at a school cafeteria at Cal State Stanislaus. So we're just going to measure this. I've got another scale, it only measures down to 5 grams, and that particularly bothered me when I was doing like salt because it's such a guesstimate. Okay, so that's a little bit more salt than we want, and I'll just take a pinch out. And there it is, 20 grams. Okay, so we've got those ready. Now we're done with the scale, and we'll come back in a bit. Okay, let's see about incorporating the salt. I'll just sprinkle the salt over this. That would be nicer for you if I use the other hand, so I will. And then we'll put the water over this. Now remember, before the water was a little warmer than it should have been. If the water was colder than it should have been, then I would have heated up this water to help bring the temperature up. In this case, I didn't need to. Let me see what the inside of this dough is looking like right now. And it says it's at 74 degrees, 75 degrees. So as you can see, we're not too hot, everything's fine. I'm going to put some water on the hand that I'm going to use. And then I'm just going to go like this. And just kind of scrunch it all together. And I'll turn it and make sure it's not stuck to the bottom of the bowl. And I'll just scrunch. We're just going to mix this together just till it's all in there. Of course, the stretch and folds will also work to incorporate the salt so it won't all be in one place. And right here, we're just getting the water in there. So with 1,000 grams of flour, 700 water, and another 50 of water, then that's a 75%. That's not figuring in the 100% starter that I use, but you know, these hydration things are there for your convenience, not so you can end up with a mathematical answer that somebody's going to say is correct or not. So clearly it's a little over 75% hydration. Normally I would use a straight-sided container like this, which would be marked for the start and where 30% is. I decided today I was going to use a different container and see how I liked it. So here I'm going to use, this is a Rubbermaid 14 cup. I thought it might make my folding and stretching and folding a little bit easier than reaching down into the bucket. So normally, like right here, then I would pick this up and drop it in the thing. Here I'm doing that, but it's shallower, so it's easier to do. And you know, there's some on here. And of course, I'm a tidy person, so I'll get a spatula, do all that, clean it up. And then, you know, you could cover this and put it somewhere warm. I'm going to put it in my Broad and Taylor, and it's set for 80 degrees, so I won't have to cover it or whatever. Don't let this give you vertigo, but I'm going to walk around. Oh, that's my dog Tessa, she's helping. And here's the Broad and Taylor. The nice thing about it is it folds up so it's flat, and then we'll just go in there. There's a little pan of water to keep the humidity even. You can adjust the temperature. I don't really care for the position of where it plugs in, but what can you do? So there we are for right now, and then we'll be back later for stretch and folds. After half an hour, it's time to start our stretch and folds. You see this is leveled out a little bit. I wet my hand, and I'm just going to reach in on one side, and I'm going to stretch it. You can feel it, what it's doing. And you don't want to go too far so that it breaks, but you want to, give it some encouragement. Now, I've seen lots of posts where people have had problems with their bread, and they don't talk about what they do at the beginning. But I don't know if you can see this, but I can certainly feel it, that just in the course of stretching this, it tightened up. it got more elastic, which means it springs back more. So if you're paying close attention, you would have noticed how on my first stretch, I could have gone like forever. In fact, I probably went out of the frame. Maybe I did on all these, I'll have to look at it. But on each subsequent stretch, then it went less and less far. It was holding me back. And that's the development of the gluten, and everything should be fine. Another thing that we're going to look at as we do this and as it's had time to sit out is we're going to look at the bubbles that we see along the side. And I believe that the size of those bubbles is also going to be the size of the bubbles when we bake the bread. So people have a question about holes. And holes aren't a big deal, but you do want it to be generally open. And so it has that air and the flavor and all the fun stuff. You probably noticed I stretched and folded 4 times. It really had tightened up a lot by the 4th one, but let's try to do a 5th one, and I'll show you just how tight this has gotten. Reach in here, and see, it just won't go there anymore. So the first time I went much higher than that, and you couldn't pick it up. Once again, I can't see what you're seeing, so I probably went out of the frame, but you'll have to trust me on this one. Okay, and then this will just go right back into the proofing box, and I'll set a timer for 30 minutes, and I'll see you then. Okay, it's been another half an hour. You might notice your angle on the camera is different. I hope this will give you a better view of what's going on. And it occurred to me that unlike my straight-sided container, which has marks on it, straight-sided container has marks on it, so you can see that. Can you see it? It's over there. This one doesn't have a mark for where it's starting, and so I won't know when it's risen, say you're 30%. So I'm going to visualize the side of this and see right here, but I can also see that in the middle it's higher. So I'm going to estimate, and I'm going to put a line right about here. And then sometime later I'm going to estimate another line, which is where we want to go to. But I imagine it's going to be something like here. Okay, and so once again, I'm going to put some water on the hand, and I'm just going to go over. This should have relaxed, so we should get more stretch this first time. I can feel the dough is very pleasant. Okay, so I got more stretch than the last stretch I did. And then as we do these subsequent stretches, you can see it's tightening up. So this next one I should actually probably lift right out of the bucket. There it is. See, tightening up. And then I'll do more. And you know, we can encourage it. And it doesn't make much sense to do more than that because it's not going to, well, we'll do it anyways, just for your demonstration. As you can see, it doesn't want to go anywhere, so encourage it. I'll just fold that over again, and we're done for right now. So you can see right now it's kind of buckled up. See, it's tightened because it's actually got some structure already. And that's what this is all about, the stretching and folds. So this is the second stretch and fold. I'll do, you know, 4 more probably, and then I'll kind of take it easy. And we'll see what's happening. I started this late. It's 10 minutes to 11 in the morning here. And I started this late, so I probably won't bake today. Just where I decide to end this, you know, whatever I feel like. But I'm just going to go along here. If I get, you know, somewhere over like here and I decide, oh, what the heck, then I might just take this and put it in the refrigerator. I've noticed in my refrigerator that it's colder at the bottom than at the top of the refrigerator. And if I put it at the bottom, it kind of stops everything. I don't know what the temperature is exactly there, maybe 35 or 36. And, you know, on the higher shelf, it's higher. So I might put it at the higher shelf and it will expand a little bit overnight and get me up to here or so. And then tomorrow I could then put it out on the counter and divide it and shape it and put it into bannetons. And then I could, you know, either leave them out or I could put them back in the refrigerator for, you know, another night or whatever. It's adjustable. Remember, this is slow bread for a busy life, but you can make it fit where you want it to go. The main thing that I'm concerned about, even though the starter looks real good, I believe it's a young starter that I made. I didn't actually label it, so I don't know if that was the fruit starter or if that was, another one that I did the week before. And we'll just have to see, because happy starter makes happy bread, and that's going to determine what's going on. And as you recall, we're going to be looking over here to see how it's developing. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll be back in half an hour. Well, it's another half hour. And let's relax some more so it's stretching. You can't see how far, but way out there. But it immediately tightens up. Okay, see you later. Another half an hour, time for more folds. That's what happens when you don't hit the cancel button on your timer. Once again, you can see how this tightens up after just a couple of stretch and folds. And I hope you're all keeping track of how many this is, so I'll know when to take it easy. After a while, then we're going to want to be more gentle with this after we've got the initial stretching and folds done. And once again, you can see how doing this really, builds up a body and increases elasticity. Thank you. See you later. Back again. You can see it's starting to feel fluffier. Cancel the timer. And start to try to be a little more gentle with it as we work along here. Okay. Yeah, it feels nice. I don't know how the lighting is here. Probably not too good. Okay, we'll be back. The hits just keep on coming. Okay, you can see this level's going up, and you can see we're starting to get bubbles. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. We'll see how it's going to go. It's feeling fluffier. Getting some gluten built up there. You can see it just holding together like that. Okay, not a lot to talk about here, but as you can see, there's bubbles and likes to dance. Well, we'll be back. So I stuck this in the refrigerator because I had to make dinner, and it's the next morning. So you can see this is where I wanted to go to, and we're all the way to the top. But hopefully things will be okay. So we're going to take this And we're going to dump it out here on the counter. Some people scoop this out. I just like to let it do what it wants to do. You can see the bubbles are really small. They're bigger on the bottom, which of course will disappear. Come on. I might have to scoop this out because I don't want to make you impatient. Okay, there we go. Okay, you see that all right? Just gonna sprinkle a little bit of flour on the top. I used to not do that at all, but okay. I normally cut this in half, but today I feel like cutting it into thirds. I don't know what that was. It looked like peanut butter. But this is a professional bakery, so you know we're doing the right thing. Okay, these aren't all the same size, but I'm a home baker, so who cares? And we're going to let that rest. You can see something's happening. They're already bubbling up on the outside where the temperature's warm. And we'll just cover these up. Come back in about a half an hour. In the meantime, I'm going to make myself a double latte and things will be fine. Okay, it's been half an hour. I had my latte, which was delicious. It was some Kenyan coffee that I roasted this week. Oops. Okay, I'm getting just it's just that one spot. Of course, you may have noticed I formed these, but I didn't put any flour on them. And I only had hair sticking in that one spot. So all in all, not too bad. Of course, you see no over slumping. You see round edges, but of course the dough is cold, so that's kind of an unfair thing. If it was warm, it may have gone more, but I wouldn't really expect it to. I've got some bannetons here. I've heard lots of discussions about people cleaning their bannetons. One of the members was talking about washing it, which is crazy. I honestly don't even like to tap them too hard, because why bother? It's just flour. Okay, so I've got these, and then I've got a mixture of rice flour and regular flour, and I'll just put a generous handful in here and shake it around. Don't know if you can see that much. I just shake it around, and then, you know, when I have wetter doughs, especially if they're going to be rising higher in the banneton, then I might encourage the flour into the cracks a little bit just by kind of wiping it on. Remember, the whole thing about the right way and the wrong way of doing things is there's only one right way, and that's whatever works for you. Of course, you could think something's working for you and there could be a better right way that would work better, and it's nice to find that out. But, you know, you can't really ask somebody else how to do everything because you're in your kitchen, you've got your whatever, and there's all these little variables and they're all different. So whatever works for you, you know, if saying a prayer works for you, then definitely say a prayer. If it doesn't, then you can say it anyways if you want or not. I find most of the sticking problems with bannetons really has to do with the condition of your dough. You know, when you haven't built your glutens and gotten your tension from your folds and from your shaping, then it tends to stick. And that's just the long and short of it. Also, when you put the dough in the bannetons, you have a choice of putting the seam up or the seam down. Normally the seam would be up, so that when you flip it over and put it in your Dutch oven to cook, the seam will be down, so you have a nice surface up. And then, of course, you can score that nicer. Speaking of scoring, there's lots of questions about loms, like how to pronounce it. And, you know, basically you're going to have a razor blade. And then here's a little lom that was made by Breadtopia. They're not paying me for that. It's okay. And then just for fun, I made this one out of walnut. Looks like a little sailing ship. You know, not too stylish. Same technique, which is just a bent razor blade over there. And then speaking of razor blades, I brought a razor blade today. So who knows, maybe I'll use this. Alright, so this would be great if I could demonstrate stretch and folding for you. The thing is, good morning my dear. Good morning. The thing is that these are colder doughs, so that they're not going to really show if they're difficult to handle, though I don't normally have any problem with them. But basically you're just going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on the top, and by little I mean just a little. And you need a board knife, and then you're going to turn it over. Okay, that was easy. And then, you know, if this was warmer and maybe more liquid, it might be hard to get under the edge, and you might need to use your board knife, or you might need to make sure you have enough flour on your fingers. But basically, you're just going to lift this up here, and we're just going to give it a little stretch. Fold it over, and we'll see what happens to this, if it starts to tear or not, which it shouldn't. Now a little stretch, and we'll fold it over. And a little stretch, and we'll fold it over. And a little stretch, and we'll fold it over, and then we'll turn it over. And this is one of my favorite parts of the dough. And everybody has their own technique for this, but basically, I just pull it towards me. I have my fingers pushed. Can you see all the way over here? I have my fingers pushed down at the bottom of the dough, and then I just turn it, and turn it, and turn it, and turn it. It could be I do this too much, I don't know. But basically you can see how this kind of blows up like a little balloon. And some people will go like this, and there you have it. And then depending on your dough, some people will put a bunch of flour on it and be all worried about it sticking or whatever. And they might use their board knife to pick it up, or you could just pick it up. Like I said, this is cold, so for people that have trouble handling these doughs, you can handle it easier. And I'll just drop this one into this banneton here, and I'll just go like this, and that's the seam side. Since this is only a third, it's not going to go up too high, so I won't worry too much. Other people might throw a bunch of flour on there, just so you'd be happy. There's some flour. And you can cover this up with a plastic bag. Now, these plastic bags at Costco. And then depending on when I wanted to make this, this could either sit and wait to rise, or it could go in the refrigerator. So let's just set this out of the frame. we have another one of these, same kind of deal, you know, just a little bit of flour. Scoop up the edge, turn it over, don't stick to me. Come on, you can let go. And we'll just pick up this edge and give it a stretch and fold it over. Give it a stretch and fold it over. Give it a stretch and fold it over. And give it a stretch and fold it over. Boing. Okay, and of course, whenever it comes to a physical technique like shaping things or whatever, there's a big difference between people that do this, you know, once or twice or a few times a week, and people that do hundreds of loaves a day. The latter ones are better at it. So then we'll just pull this and turn it, and pull it and turn it, but we might ask, well, what am I going to do with this one? And I said, oh, well, I actually want this one to go in the longer one, so I'm just going to go like this. Also, you can do stuff like this. You know, it's kind of whatever, and then it's got a big bubble there, and also it's, you know, seam up, seam down. But I'm just going to, you know, get this all tucked in the way I want it. I have this banneton here, and the flour's falling off over there, but who cares? And I'll just tip it over and drop it in. And it looks like Costco got a new bag manufacturer, different color. And then there was one, and guess what? We're going to call this one pizza. Okay, so normally the pizza dough I use is like a pound. This is probably a pound and a third or so. Commercial people weigh stuff, which is always fun. So cool I am. I'll just pick this up, and we'll just drop this on top here, which sounds like a gooey thing to do. We'll do it anyways. And it's 555 grams. And I can clean that off in a bit. And I'm just going to cut this in half, and I'm not too worried about how exact I am. And I'll make some little pizzas, because that's adorable. So I'm just going to shape these into balls, and I'll just put them in little Ziploc bags. And that's enough for now. So, you know, a few hours, we'll see how those doughs are doing in the bannetons, and we'll see about baking one of them. It'll be fun. In the meantime, bye now. Okay, we're back. I don't know how long it's been. A few hours, I guess. I was doing some studying. Okay, you can't see much, and the lighting's not good on this, but there you are. You see it's gone up some. Still got that wiggle. We're going to touch it. And it goes down, and then it kind of comes up. Still left a dent. So we're going to say, okay, let's do it. So I'm going to go over here to my oven. And I've got my Lodge combo cooker here. I like to put this part facing down in the oven because then it's easier for me to put it on top. Stick it here and set the oven to 500 degrees and start. And since I have a convection oven, I'm going to put it on convection at 500. Hopefully it'll heat up faster. And then at that point, then we'll see about dumping this out and fitting it in. Unfortunately, this width here is just about the same as the bottom, so sometimes I get a little fun when I do that. I know other people will dump this out on parchment paper and stuff, but I like to make it easy, so I'm just going to take this and I'll just dump it into the bottom and then put the cover on. Okay, be back in a bit. Oh, you can see I've got like little big bubbles along the side. I'm not too worried about those. My main concern is that you know, it might be expanded on the outside and still cold on the inside, so not going, but what can you do? We'll eat it no matter what. Thank you for your time. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, we're back. Let's see if we can have some fun. Let's kind of wipe this flour off over there. Pull the bag back off. Looks like it may have risen up a little bit more, so hopefully it won't be overproofed and I won't have to cry. Okay, so being a wise person, I'm going to put a glove on. I'm going to get some better gloves that are good to like 900 degrees and have Kevlar and everything in them, because you can get burns if you're not careful, which I'm not. Okay, so I'll go over to my oven and I'll pull out the bottom and I'll put it over here. And since I heat these so hot, it always burns off my cure. So there's a piece of parchment, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it over there. And that wasn't too bad, though it didn't quite end up in the center, so I'll encourage it to move a little bit. And then I need a lom, and so for today, well, one thing is I think there's too much flour there, so we'll just get that out of the way. That's a little embarrassing. And today, just for fun, we'll use this, which I've never used before. So how do I want to do this? I don't know. I'm going to go like this, and like this, and that kind of worked. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, so there we are, and I'm going to put this in the oven. Okay, you may have heard I actually squirted a little extra water into the lid of the combo, because I know the more is better school. You can see, you know, it was moist, but you notice how easily that dropped out. Just goes plunk, so that's fun. And I don't know whether I'll be using this again, but it was fun to do. Okay, see you later. Okay, let's see whether I want to pull this out yet. Yeah, it's awful close. But I've only got another minute on the oven, so I'm going to wait for that. Oh, there was the oven. Okay, I guess I'm going to pull this out. Okay. It's a little low. Okay, I'm reheating the oven. Help this out. Too much flour over there. But it could be worse. Looks like I could have let it rise a little bit more. Feels good. It smells really good. Okay, so as soon as this oven comes back up, then I'll be doing that other one. I'll be back for that. Okay, time for more fun. So we'll just move this out of the way. This. Okay, I'm going to give this a little bit longer. What the heck? Remember, you were there. Well, we're back. It's not very many minutes later, but I'm impatient. I want to get this over with, so here we go. There's that part. Okay, get this out of the way. Flour out of the way. Going over to the oven. Pulling this out. Dropping in my parchment. Taking my loaf and flipping it over. You have to be very delicate when you do that. Remember that. Okay, let's use a different lamb this time. Practice might make perfect. Cover. Center it. Turn it down to 450. And start. And then I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes. And we'll see how it does. You notice how hard this was to drop out. And I guess I'll clean up this dust. Since I use these plastic bags again, I like to turn them inside out because the inside could have condensation on it and then they start to smell. But by doing this, then any dampness would be on the outside and it'll dry, and then we'll be good. I'll be back in 20. Well, we're back again. Oops, I was going to do the reveal without putting on the glove. Okay, let's do another reveal. Put up, there's steam coming up, always like that. And we'll lift, and it doesn't look like a ton of that. And we'll finish baking it. As I said before, I probably could have let that proof a little bit more, but I was impatient, and that's what you get. Okay. Okay, there's Tessa. She's still helping me. What a good dog. Back in the oven. And there's the bread. And it looks like it's the right color. Take it out. And close this. You might notice that I have a stone under there. Stops me from having the bottom of the loaves burnt. Might not necessarily do that, but it does do that. Okay, so I'm going to want to take this out. I'm just playing around doing this to keep the parchment paper out of here without actually sticking my finger in the pan and burning it. Okay. So let's see what we got. You can see where the seam was. It's got a nice hollow feel. I don't like having all that extra flour there, but I do. And yeah, it's solid. Okay, so this one is already almost cooled down all the way. Let's take a look at what these weigh. There's a scale. There's a scale. You can see it. Okay, let's turn it on. As you can see, this first loaf weighs 618 grams. That's about 1 pound 6 ounces. And this one is 533 grams, which is about 1 pound 3 ounces. Okay, so you know that I'll have you back over to see these as soon as they cool down all the way and I can slice them open. Thanks a lot. Okay, let's slice this open for fun. And there we have it. Looks like bread. Okay, thank you for playing. Bye.